hope you're alive.
Yes, so hello everybody.
Missive and the flies from all the captives.
That was amazing. The hostages are back on Hoshana Rabbah.
I will tell you this. You could feel the difference in the atmosphere.
Right.
Mamash. They were being released, and it was as if a dark cloud lifted from the entire land.
Right. Yeah.
That's how it felt. Yes.
It's unbelievable. And Rabbi Shalom Rosner from Israel,
yes,
from the OU, he pointed out, he said, Hoshana Rabbah is the only day we say the full Hallel HaGadol, which is Hod Lashem Kito Kilo Mechaso, we say it every Shabbos, right, and all that stuff. That's called Hallel HaGadol. And Mizmor LaSoda, which is a psalm of thanks, which the Talmud says all the Tehillim will get extinct in the time of whenever that means. But Mizmor LaSoda will say, so there's only one day a year we say all three. Because whenever we say full Hallel, we do also say Hallel HaGadol in the Pesukei de Zimra, yes, but then we don't say Mizmor LaSoda.
Yes,
right.
That's a weekday prayer.
Exactly. And on
Hoshana Rabbah, it's a mix.
Right. Exactly. And on the rest of the days of Chol HaMoed, we say Mizmor LaSoda and full Hallel on Sukkos, but we don't say Hallel, the Hod Lashem Kitov. So he said it's amazing. Hoshana Rabbah is the only day where we say all the three big main thank you Hod Lashem things. You're in there a couple of times, and I think you're in here, Gary, too.
Yeah. I'm in there in the back with my wig on, my colorful wig on.
Okay. So it's amazing, and we have to be thankful to Hashem, no question. And as I've said many times, all these things are in Hashem's hands, and He's running everything. Okay, so what I wanted to get into, if you have a chumash, that we're going to get into. So, of course, we like to start with an overview, a basic overview of the Parsha Noach, which I think, if I remember correctly, is the third longest individual Parsha. We have Parshas Naso, I think, is the longest. Then we have Parshas Pinchas is the second longest. And I think that Noach is the third longest. There's a lot in Parshas Noach, although a lot of it is names at the end. And of course, we have the basic story. So Noach, Hashem wants to come and destroy the world, and he does. And he tells Noach to build an ark with 3 layers to take all the animals of the world. 2 of the kosher animals and 7 of the non-kosher. 2 of the non-kosher animals and 7 of the kosher animals. Although there is a difference of opinion. Was it 7 animals or was it 14 animals? Because the Torah says Shiva, 7 and 7, male and female. So if you add it all up, 7 and 7, 7 male, 7 females is 14. But some people say no, it just means 7. Shiva is an expression for double. But some people say it was 14, some people say it was 7. If you say it was 7, that means he took 5 animals of each kosher species for a sacrifice afterwards, and so on. So all of the animals came to him to the teva. He built it. He went in the ark. Hashem locked him in. There was a big, huge downpour for 40 days. The Medrash said that although the water went into Israel, of course, it did not rain in Israel. So it rained in the whole earth except for the borders of Israel, but of course all the waters flooded into Israel because the whole world was covered with water. Everything was destroyed, trees, vegetation. 12 inches of the earth was also destroyed. Hashem sort of took out the earth. The only thing that wasn't destroyed was fish. They survived. Then Hashem said, right, it's come to the end now. After a year, Hashem let Noach out. He went out. After he sent out the raven, and then he sent out the dove, and then Hashem sent him out. They came out of the teva. Immediately Noach built a altar, which the Rambam says it was on the Temple Mount. The Rambam Maimonides said there's a tradition that Noach built his Mizbeach, the same place that Avraham then was going to Shecht Yitzchak, the same place that Cain and Hevel in last week's Parsha brought their sacrifices, and he said also Adam Harishon also brought sacrifices in the place where nowadays we don't have it, but in the times where the Mizbeach was in the Beis HaMikdash, the place which is supposed to be connected to directly under heaven, whatever that means.
That was the base of Midrash.
Shalmala, exactly, whatever that means.
Corresponds exactly from the face.
Right, but I'll tell you one question I have on that. Just a simple question.
One question.
Because the earth moves. So are you telling me the heavens move too?
No.
Because if the earth is rotating, right, so the earth is constantly moving, so if the place of Israel is directly opposite, that means heaven is moving too. Anyway, that's just
One question. If he came out of the Teva and he was makriv, he sacrificed a korban. But the Teva rested.
Another question I have in Aurora.
Aurora.
Exactly.
How many-
It's another question I have. Right. Another question. I'm just going to expand on his question. Wasn't planning to, but because he raised the same question I had. And I'm going to expand on that question a little bit.
Alright.
So it says that Adam brought all the animals, all the kosher animals. But we know, the Pasuk says, and the Meshech Chochma asked this question. The Meshech Chochma, right, Meir Simcha of Devinsk, right, he wrote a Pirush on the Torah called the Meshech Chochma. He asked a simple question. How many animals could you bring in the temple of all the kosher animals? No. How many types of animals could you bring in the Beis HaMikdash? You could bring an ayol, a tzvi, a yachmor, right? Sorry, a shor, sorry, not a
You could bring
right, sorry.
Not domesticated.
Right,
animals.
it's basically the domesticated animals, right? The shor, the ox, the cow, the sheep, and the goat, right? You're not allowed to bring a chay or a wild animal. You can't bring deers or bison or any of these other kosher animals that we eat. Right, chickens also, you weren't allowed to bring chickens. The only birds you were allowed to bring were doves and there's one other. Whatever it is,
Pigeons and doves.
right, pigeons and doves,
doves.
right. However, there's a bit of a debate exactly what these species are, but only two. Can't even bring chickens. So how could it say Noach brought all of the animals, all of the kosher animals? You're not allowed to bring kosher animals. So the Meshech Chochma answers that really, and he brings a medrash that says, really Hashem wanted you to offer all the kosher animals on the Beis HaMikdash. But Hashem didn't want to trouble you, because if you imagine saying, well, go bring me a deer, you've got to go hunt it, you've got to go catch it, right? Bison, it's not easy. You don't have all these animals at your fingertips. So Hashem says, I was makel on you, I was lenient on you, only to bring you domesticated animals that you have. But says Meir Simcha, that didn't apply to Noach. Why? Because he had all the animals right there with him when they left the Teva. And my question is, wait a minute, the Teva was in Aurora, which some people say is like Iraq, Iran, somewhere, I don't know.
No.
Turkey.
So that's my question. So that means what? You had to walk all the animals over? I don't know. It's a question I have too. It's a long way to walk with all the animals.
No, I didn't walk.
Well, he couldn't have taken a boat because all the water had dried up.
It was an Uber.
An Uber, okay. Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I have that question too. If anybody has an answer, let me know.
That was Nissim.
Right? Okay.
First of all, how could he? The Teva was.
Of course, the Teva was a miracle, yes.
450 foot long.
Right.
300 amas by 50 foot wide. Three
layers.
Levels, yeah.
Decks, as you might say. One for the human beings.
Right.
The middle was for.
The animals, and the bottom was for food and waste.
How
Yeah, of course, it was a miracle, yeah.
Could you fit all those?
Right. Right.
Or
Or you could have used the film Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, his machine, shrink all the animals.
No, the question I
Well,
always
never mind.
had is you had wild animals and you had domesticated animals.
Right.
How did everything stay calm?
Yeah, and one of them bit Noach, right? Isn't that the famous medrash that one of the tigers, lions, I think it was, a lion bit Noach and he was late? Yeah. And must have been scary. Yeah, it must. I mean, it's yeah.
On the other hand, it says in Pirkei Avot, one of the miracles is in the 6th parak, I think it is, that there's always room for all the Jews in the Beit HaMikdash
To bow down, fade, and exactly. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, these were miracles. So, if anybody has an answer to that question, let me know. Greetings from Ron and Denise Voss. Greetings from the UK. Thank you. They're watching. Oh yes, it was just your wedding anniversary last week. So mazel tov and happy anniversary to you.
yes.
So, well, people say that I don't read out their messages on here. Yes, Edmund.
Well, I'm a bias here. You don't have good.
Sorry, I couldn't hear.
What's the good news?
Can't hear you.
Hashem made all the animals go to the table.
Right. So you're saying just like he made them go to the Teva, he made them walk from the Teva to. That must be some sort of an answer. Yeah. But it's just interesting. It was such a long way. Why didn't he make the teva land on the Harabayas? I don't know. And anyway, so that was that. Then Noach comes out of the teva.
We answered that question because there were non-kosher animals in the teva.
A bottle of Johnny Walker.
Okay, so Reuven.
And that's great, fantastic news. Thanks for calling me. I appreciate it. Going to see you tomorrow.
Okay, Reuven, we're just getting disturbing us here. Okay, so maybe I'll edit that bit out on because on YouTube you can edit the bits out, right?
Sorry, it was.
All right, but if you can get
So
okay.
So what happened?
Right, so then after the teva, where were we? You asked me, right, so Edmund said maybe, just like they all walked to the teva, a miracle, they all came to Naz, or maybe a miracle, they all came.
The teva was close to the water, no?
I'm not sure where they came in from. I don't know.
Ooh, what do you mean where they came in from?
Where the teva started its journey.
Well, when did Noach build it?
Yeah, where?
But
where did he build it?
The Torah doesn't
Right,
say
that's what
where
I'm saying.
he built it.
Right, so I was right. I don't know.
Where was Noach in this 120 years when he was building the teva? And according to the Midrash, I know that people go, what are you doing?
I don't know.
Right.
What are you doing? Well, you're
Right.
crazy.
Which was it? Which shipyard did it?
Right, exactly. So, okay, so
Belfast.
that's right. Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, he comes out of the teva, he plants a vineyard, and he gets drunk. Again, it makes it sound like it was straight away. But I don't know about you, but it takes a long time to grow a vineyard and cultivate wine and stuff.
That was done at the time when he was also building the teva, that the vineyard was there.
But
But didn't he get
it
destroyed?
got destroyed, Sherry.
What
Oh.
The only
I know they
thing-
said he took vines in,
Yeah.
and then you mean so he took the grapes in, but it says he planted a vineyard when he left. I don't know how, maybe he was able to grow quick. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, he got drunk. His son, Chom, decided a difference of opinion, either just to expose him, or according to some, he actually neutered him, or whatever the word is for humans.
him, no?
That's what
was
Shem and
that was-
Yafes did, yeah. So then Shem and Yafes came, they covered him up. Noach woke up, he realized that he'd been abused, right? And therefore he couldn't have any more children, and he cursed Cham again. And something I've always never understood.
Yeah.
He's your son. Why are you cursing your own son? Canaan, the fourth son, right? Okay, so he cursed his offspring. I don't know. It's anyway. I know there's punishments or whatever, but to give something.
Because Chom was punished even before that, because Chom was in the teva and they were allowed to have marriage
Right, and he
relations.
did, correct. So he was
did.
punishing
So-
from that. Okay.
So him and the dog and the raven both.
Okay, but for Noach to turn around and curse somebody is like, Okay, then we have the list of all the 70 nations, the children, the offspring of Noach. They became the 70 nations and the 70 languages, right?
Right.
Which English is not part of, because English is a composite language. Then we have the Dor HaFloga, where they try to build a huge tower and get into space or whatever you want to understand, different opinions, and try and fight Hashem. And then Hashem said, well, I'm not going to destroy you. I'm going to distort your language and split them all over the world, which is why you ended up with people in America before America was discovered,
What
because
about
Hashem
China?
threw them away everywhere.
What about China?
What about China?
Were they dispersed to China also?
Yeah, they were just Hashem split them all over the world. Some people say, like the Sforno, I think, said, that's when Pangea got split up, right? Some people say the earth was all one landmass, and then that's when Hashem said goodbye and split it all up, and everyone ended up. So there are a lot of fascinating things in Parshas Noach, and then of course we finish off with the children of Shem, and you're not supposed to say Avram Avinu nowadays, you're supposed to say Avraham Avinu, but Avraham was born, and he got married to Sarai, and then of course next Parsha we're going to learn about Avraham. Lech Lecha, right. It's interesting, my son is just starting learning Chumash today, and where do they start? Lech Lecha. They don't learn Bereshis Noach, because there's a lot of it's very difficult, right? Basically,
For young kids.
right, even for adults, right? There's so many questions, right, in Parshas Bereshis and Parshas Noach as well. So I want to get into a couple of things about the Mabul, about the flood, based on the fact that this year I internalized something about Matan Torah, and I just realized something going through this week. The same thing happened with Bereshis. So as I say, we all celebrate the Torah on Shavuos, but the Torah of Shavuos is not the Torah that we have today. Why? Because Moshe Rabbeinu smashed those luchos, goodbye, and if it wasn't for the fact that he begged Hashem for forgiveness, and Hashem forgave us on Yom Kippur, and gave us another set of tablets, we wouldn't have the Torah. Hashem was going to say, goodbye, get lost, that's it, end of you guys. So the Torah we have today is the second Torah, if you like, which was given to Moshe Rabbeinu on Yom Kippur. Right? And I spoke a lot about it. It's a different, right? It's not the same Torah as Shavuos. That's why we don't necessarily celebrate Shavuos so much. It's sort of like hidden that it was Matan Torah. Keep it quiet. It didn't work very well, right? Okay. The same is true with the creation of the world. If I ask you, the world today, when is the world that we have today from? Most of you will say it's from the 6 days of creation. But actually, according to many sources, the world today is the world from Noach.
Yes.
Right, that it's actually a different, completely, not that it was destroyed, but the whole idea of the world is completely different. Now, let's first look into some halachic sources, and then we'll get into some physical differences between the worlds. And the biggest there's two big proofs that the commentators use. One is the Gemara in Sanhedrin, Daf Kuf Yud Aleph, 111. That's where the Gemara talks about the generation of the flood. And the Gemara says, the generation of the flood will not get up for din. They'll have no justice, no din. Whereas the generation of the tower that got destroyed, they will have justice. So they both won't get Olam Haba, but the Dor HaFraga will have to have din v'cheshbon when Moshiach comes, or whenever time it is. But the Dor HaMabul, the generation that got wiped out, they won't get up for din. There'll be no din v'cheshbon at all. So the answer is why? What's the difference? Why do they get off scot-free? That they don't have to have another din v'cheshbon at all afterwards. So again, I'm going to cut it down a little bit so we can fit it in the things I wanted to say. So what is the idea? We know that when a person dies, they have a din v'cheshbon on their life, right? You get a judgment with the things that you did, right? And then again, we know, I said it on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, there is this idea that every year, even those who have passed away are judged again. That's why the original Yizkor was on Yom Kippur. The rest of the holidays, that came later. But the original Yizkor was on Yom Kippur. And as I said, I quoted from the Chassam Sofer, we talk about the Sifrei Chaim and Sifrei Moves. The books of life and the books of death are open. So we normally interpret it, the books of who's going to be inscribed for life, who's going to be inscribed for death. Now, of course, they are definitely open, no question. But the Chassam Sofer has a different interpretation. He says, Sifrei Chaim, the books of those who are living, we're going to be judged who are living. And the Sifrei Moves, those who are already dead, are going to be judged as well. And the question is, what are you being judged for? You've been judged already when you died. So what's this second judgment? And what's this next judgment at the end of days, when Hashem is going to have the Gemara at the beginning of Avodah Zarah, this huge judgment at the end of days? What's all that about? So the answer very basically is because our actions, both good and bad, have consequences. And consequences can continue many, many, many years after a person dies. So when a person dies, they have their din v'cheshbon as to what the situation is at the moment. But then every year, now let's see what you did in your life. Has that affected anything this year? So in a good way, if you taught somebody Torah, you taught somebody good deeds, and they're continuing their good deeds, doing things in your name because you taught them something, that's going to go on your cheshbon, on your calculation. If you started something, and now even though a person's dead, but the evil, the difficulty is still being perpetrated, now you get negative questions from it. So every year, Hashem says, your actions have now led this year to X, Y, and Z. So every year, we have to see again. You did good this year, your actions, excellent. No good, whoops, there's problems. And the same with the end of days. The end of days, when everything is finished, because now you don't see the full picture, because the world is still ongoing. So when the world ends, whatever that means, then Hashem says, right, now I can sit back through the whole of time, and now I can see exactly what happened with all of your deeds and actions. So that's the idea of this big din v'cheshbon at the end of time, and a big din v'cheshbon when a person dies, and every year, because there are different stages, because we're judged on different things.
I have a question to ask. When you say when a person dies, right away when the person dies, they're judged?
I think so. That's what it seems to be, right? A person dies and they get judged. That's what it seems. They go up to Shemayim and there's a reckoning of all their accounts. Yeah, that's what the I believe is. Yeah, that's what they say straight away. Although there are some Gemaras that say if a person dies on a Shabbos, they go straight to Menucha. There's no din because Shabbos is okay. Again, these are not things that I delve into too much.
No, it's very interesting.
Yeah, listen. I with a lot of these things, I like to say wait and see, but hopefully we won't wait and see.
Hopefully it won't be for a while.
Hopefully it'll be a long wait.
If you wait
Exactly.
and see, it'll be too late.
Right. Okay. Exactly what that means, I don't know. It's
Do what you have to do down here. Somebody came
exactly.
To me, somebody came to me. Excuse my back.
It's okay.
Okay, and he's complaining. Oh, I feel so bad. I'm so upset. I'm getting old and this. I'm afraid of dying. So I said, what are you afraid of dying for? Don't worry about dying. You'll definitely die. Everybody dies.
That's British humor for you.
No, yeah.
That's the British humor for you.
You'll definitely die. But worry about living.
Right. Well, the Koheles that we read on Sukkot, one of the last chapters, it says, Kol ma'aseh b'kochacha b'yodcha aseh. Anything that you have to do. Ki ein cheshbon v'das b'sh'ol ha'tahol ha'shana. There is no, basically you don't, once a person dies, you can't do any more good deeds. So chaperein, do as much as you can while you're here. Okay, so, going back to what we're saying about din v'cheshbon. So now we can understand, the Dor HaMabul don't get any din v'cheshbon. Why? Because their existence has no bearing on the future whatsoever. Because their world, the 1600 years, I think it was, of life from when Hashem created the world till he destroyed it, is gone. End of story. That doesn't count for anything. So there's no point giving them a justice. Because their little 1600-year period of existence means nothing anymore to the future continuation of the world. From Noach, we talk about the Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach. We have 7 Noachide laws. And the Gemara says, what do you mean? Did Adam not have it? So the Gemara says, well, Adam had 6, and therefore the 7th was eating live animals, because Adam wasn't allowed to eat any animals. But some people say, no, because it doesn't matter. What happened to Adam is no good, because that's all gone. It's all in the past. It was all destroyed with Noach. So the world started again with Noach. And again, if you look at the beginning of Parshas Noach, after this Teva, after the destruction, you find Hashem uses similar words that he did at the start of the world. So Noach comes out of the Teva. Okay? So we're in chapter... give me a second. Right. Here. We're in chapter 8, verse 15. I'm not sure what page it is in there.
I will tell you, it's on page 39 for the translation.
39. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, 39.
39.
Hashem spoke to Noach saying, right? Just like he said to Adam, all the trees you can eat, and then he gave him a bracha, Peru avu umilu es aretz, right? Multiply, he gave him a bracha, he gave him instructions, eat everything, but don't eat this tree. And then he said, multiply and be fruitful. And basically he said the same to Noach. What did he say? Pasuk 17. Now you can eat meat. Take with you. Right? And then again, if you skip now to chapter 9, Hashem blessed Noach. Now again, but you already said it to Adam. You already said you gave a bracha to Adam. The answer is because that's all gone now. So he has to give another bracha. You can eat whatever you want. So Hashem is repeating the rules. He's slightly different because now you can eat meat. So basically, he is repeating what he said to Adam, the laws of what to do. Why? Because the first set of rules, that world is gone. It's completely different. So you see a couple of examples in the Torah and in stuff where the world, you see that it's completely different. And there's another Gemara that says, how long is the years of Moshiach? So the Gemara says, the Pasuk says, I can't remember at the top of my head, but the Gemara, there's an expression that says from the world, from existence until Moshiach comes, is how long Moshiach will be. So Moshiach comes today, it's 5,786. When one man says, no, it's from the time that Noach came out of the Teva until now. That is the time of Mashiach. So you see, why Noach? What's got to do with Noach? Because that's a new world. And one last thing about this. The Pasuk says, now for all of you who do math, how old it says when Noach, when he went in the Teva, when Noach went Sheish Meo Shana. He was how old? 600 years. Right? Then the Torah says, Vaychi Noach acha amabu shlosh meos v'chamishim shana. That Noach lived after the Mabul, this is in chapter 10, verse 28. He lived 350 years. 600 plus 350 years, 950. He lived 950 years and he died. the question is, that's not accurate. He lived 600 before the Mabul, 350 after the Mabul, that's 950, but what about the year of the Mabul? He should have been 951 when he died, because he was in the table for how many years? 1 year. So therefore, it should have been another year, 951. So Mafar should say, because the year of the Teva didn't count. That wasn't a year. Why? Because there was no world. The existence was completely stopped, and now we have a new world. Yes, Edmund?
Do we know if there is any changes from the first rule to the second rule?
Yes, I'm going to say that now. Yes, that's my next point. So we've seen halachically, or we've seen from the Torah, which is our first port of call, but how do we see things differently? So the Sfarno, in this week's Parsha, the Pasuk says an expression, Od kol yemei ha'aretz, for all the days of the earth from now on, let me try and find it, day and night will never stop. Hold on. Let me find it.
No, you place it.
Right? And there will be seasons. Zera v'kotzir, planting, reaping, v'kor, v'chom, v'yilayim, v'layla, lo yishposu. You'll never have any more. Here. Where is it? I'm using a tiny chumash where you have to turn loads of pages. Here, we're in chapter 8, verse 22. Od kol yemei ha'aretz, for the rest of time, or the world, sorry, not the rest of time, the rest of the earth, zera v'kotziv v'kori v'chori v'katz v'chori v'yoyim v'layla lo yishposu. The seasons, and day and night will never cease, because before it ceased. So says the Sforno, why all of a sudden now? Because before, says the Sforno, the world was perfectly straight, and we had equal time day and night. It was always at the equinox, equal, day and night. But then after the Mabul, Hashem tilted the world, is it 26 degrees or 23.6 degrees? I'm not sure the exact degrees, but the world is now tilted. And because the world is tilted, here we go, says the Sforno, that before the world was perfectly straight, so you had equal days and nights, 12 hours days, 12 hours nights, every day of the year, right? That means also perfect weather. You got perfect weather, no variations, because the world was perfect. Now Hashem tilted the world. So you get the sun more in one part of the world, different hemispheres, right? And the sun moves. So now the earth doesn't spin straight, it's on an angle. So now you get the seasons, because before then there were no seasons. It was perfectly spring all year round. So there was a difference in the world itself. The world is now different. We now have seasons, hot, cold, all these different things. So you see not only in the Torah, but a physical change in the world. That's pretty big change, because now I was thinking, and this is a joke, but maybe what happened was, right, Hashem made so much water, right, tilted the earth because it couldn't cope with, no, never mind. Okay, because there was so much water on the earth, so it bent under the pressure. No. Anyway, that's a joke.
Well, no, they just see more water came on the earth.
Yeah, the whole earth was 30 feet above the tallest mountain. How tall is Mount Everest? 10,000 feet?
29,002 feet.
15 hours.
Right, so that's like 25 feet above that. So the water was, how many feet did you say it was? 30,000 feet?
About just under 30,000.
So imagine 30,000 feet of water.
Plus.
So no wonder the earth
That
tilted
was
a
the
little
reason why
bit.
the first bird went out. They couldn't find vegetation. He couldn't find
Right,
vegetation.
right.
23.5 degrees.
How much?
23.5.
23.5 degrees. So the earth is now tilted. When the world was created, perfectly.
Don't hang out with
Everything was equal. But now the world is different. And the next thing they say also is Pangaea, which I believe is the expression that the earth was all correct? All the land masses were in one land mass. And that is proved, or they bring it, from the Pasuk at the beginning of Bereshis, where it says the earth was covered in water. What did Hashem say? Yikavu hamayim v'seira'eh hayabosha. Also on the dry land. It doesn't say dry lands. One land will appear. One big land mass will come up, and that's the dry land, which is why they say now you can apparently fit in. Isn't that the whole idea?
Yes.
You can fit in all the
Yes.
places.
It's like a piece of a puzzle.
Piece of a puzzle,
Yes,
right.
You can.
See a jigsaw puzzle.
Right, so that's what they say. When Hashem created the world, one landmass.
South America,
That's when everything
the
divided.
not the Horn, but the west coast of Africa, the geologists think
Fits in perfectly.
Okay.
Right. So there are
as
opinions
one
in
instance.
right. So there are opinions in the Torah that say that. So there are physical differences in the world. Another big difference is leaving aside Noach, who lived very long, right? But he lived 600 years from before, the amount of time people lived drastically changed. Now, when I went to school, we learned about the Ice Age, right? And all these other things. So a lot of people say, again, I'm not an expert in these things, but a lot of people say a lot of the, and you're a scientist, so it's more up your street, but a lot of people say a lot of the effects that are described to the aging through the Ice Age and these other things that happened that they say got rid of all sorts of stuff can be traced also to the flood. And therefore there were a lot of changes physically in the world. The Gemara says they took off 3 tefachim, which is 12 inches of the earth was taken out. According to some opinions, certain parts of the earth never closed up, like the Chamei Teveri, the hot spring, whatever these things are. But the earth was never the same again. So according to many opinions, when you say what world do we have today, the answer is it's the world from Noach, because the first set of 1600 years, gone. All those people, the existence, their deeds, no bearing on today's world whatsoever, which is why they don't come up for justice, for din v'cheshbon, because you had no effect. You, goodbye. It's completely eradicated and so on. So that's fascinating. So we think of the Torah we have today is the second Torah that Hashem gave to Moshe on Yom Kippur, because Shavuos got smashed. So also the world we have today, if you think about it, is a world post-Noach. It's a complete... So Noach, if you like, lived or straddled 2 worlds. He straddled the first world, 600 years worth, and the second world.
He was the missing link, so to speak.
He was, right, so we do have a link, yeah. Now, another point to take this a little bit further. Let's say Noach did not find favor in the eyes of Hashem, right? Hashem first said, I'm going to destroy the earth, okay? The end of Bereshit, I'm going to destroy the earth. From human to animal, everything's going to go. All of a sudden, the very last pasuk, V'noach motza chen be'enei Hashem. So let's say Noach didn't find favor in the eyes of Hashem, okay? That means he would have been destroyed too, correct? And that means everything would have been destroyed, okay? That means Hashem would have also had to create man from new, because he was going to destroy everybody. So how is he going to have a new world again? By the same thing he did with Adam, creating a man from new. It's all, Noach, you're not so bad, I'll keep you. And then we'll start the world from you.
We always say he was a righteous man.
Okay, but if he wasn't, it's only that the last minute Hashem said, I'm going to destroy, by the way, Noach is a good man. But if it wasn't for Noach, it would have been another rebirth of Adam. So that's another proof, if you like, that the world that we have today, Hashem completely got rid of the first world. Okay, light and darkness and the sun. The Gemara says the sun wasn't shining, wasn't going up and down. Everybody had a break for a year, right? The sun could relax a little bit, right? So you see that the world today is not the world from before Noach. So it's fascinating. I never really meditated on that idea before. Yeah, the world got destroyed, but you don't think necessarily that really it's completely different world. It's amazing. And if Noach hadn't had whatever chen he had, and I just want to finish off talking about Noach and his chen a minute, then Hashem would have created somebody new. There would have been a new Adam and a new Chava and started again. And therefore, we would have had. It could have been a different world, a completely new existence. So that's why our existence traces itself back to Noach. So if you say we're all related to Adam, technically yes, through Noach, I suppose, but really we all come from Noach. Noach is his wife or the bottleneck. That's right. Yeah, they are the starters. Now, you talk about Noach found favor in the eyes of Hashem, and a lot of people ask, what did he find favor? It's a strange expression, chen, right? Noach found chen, and they say, what's the letters of Noach backwards? Nun ches, backwards is ches nun, chen, right? Noach found favor. So I came across this Or HaChaim, and he gives a little bit of a thing and says it's a secret. But if you know the secret, good on you. So the Or HaChaim says like this. I'm going to read it inside. Where we have, here we go. Right? Right. Ki yesh lo das. Because you need to know, says the Or HaChaim. Ki yesh mitzvos sheto'altam hi lahamshich chen al ha'adam. There are certain mitzvos that produce this chen. What this chen is, we've no idea. It's some shine that God takes to you, right? Bebechinas gimol oidalad mitzvos yuduos. There are 3 or 4 mitzvos out of all the 613 that if you do them properly, will give you this chen with Hashem. So now we're all expecting, ooh, okay, so what are these mitzvos? I want to do these mitzvos. No, when you want to do these mitzvos properly?
It's a sod.
For Hashem lo hidia to eltom. Hashem never told you which mitzvos they are. Why? Because sheyitzu kol ha'olam lo eltom. Because if you knew that these 3 or 4
do those,
and you would, say, okay, I'll do these, I'll be fine. However, Noach knew them, because Noach and Chen are the same letters backwards. So there's this idea that certain mitzvahs, doing certain things, don't ask me what, because if the Orach Chaim didn't know, I certainly don't know what these mitzvahs are, and I haven't seen anyone else who says what they are, or explains what they are. I mean, I'm guessing they are part of the 248 positive mitzvos, I'm guessing, right? Because we're all not supposed to do the 365 negative, so it must be some of the 248. And I suppose if you take away some of the ones that didn't apply to Noach, like the Beis Hamikdash halachos and all that sort of stuff, you whittle it down. So we'll see how many are left and whatever. Maybe we could play that game and see what some of these might be. But let's finish off. So now we have this idea. And I was thinking, just to finish off with this, who else had this chen that I think? David HaMelech. The Gemara itself said, very strange thing. Shaul HaMelech, the first king, he did one Aveira. And Hashem said, goodbye to you, goodbye to your whole family, I'm giving it away to David. The Gemara said, David did 2 sins, right? Okay, I'm not going into what they are, because the Gemara has a debate. Did he really sin with Bathsheba? Whatever it is. David HaMelech did things that he wasn't supposed to do. And yet we're still lauding David HaMelech, we're singing Tehillim. We're talking about Malchus Beis David, as Semach David. We daven every day for David. We daven every day his kingship. So the Gemara said, it's not fair. Shaul, on the face of it, was better than David. And the Gemara answers, you can't compare somebody who has chen in the eyes of Hashem. What that means, I have no idea. But I think you see this in a general area in life. There's certain people that can get people to do things, right? Like, I don't know, certain... Usually it ends up being bad, right? Whatever. But you talk about some of these Ponzi schemes and these things and investments, that certain people have this chen, that they're able just to get in and do things that other people can't, right? You have a way with people, that people just take a shine to you, people take a liking to you, people just do what you want, and people just can't understand it. Why? But there's some chen, you can't describe it. And that's what Noach had, and also David HaMelech had. And obviously Moshiach is going to have that too, right? That this Moshiach fellow, and it will be a fellow, it will be a human being. In fact, I saw over Yom Tov, and where did I see this? I saw this in the Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer, who says that Moshiach will be in Golus, will be in the exile. I remember I make jokes. When people say, why don't you make Aliyah, Rabbi? And I say, well, because I don't want to miss out on all the fun of Kibbutz Goliath, right? Can you imagine? Everyone's coming back. Moshiach is here. We're all, Mezim's coming. We're all excited. And, I don't want to miss out on that fun. It's exciting. How was it? Oh, yeah, we're going back. Whatever it's going to be. I don't want to be sitting there, no, when they're coming, yeah. And they say, no, how was it? No, tell me the story. I want to be there, part of it. That's what I say. So now I have an extra thing to say to people. I don't want to make Aliyah, because if I make Aliyah and I live in Israel, I won't be the Moshiach, because the Moshiach will be in Chutz La'aretz, and Moshiach will come with the exiles. And again, these things are things that we don't understand what they mean, but just finish that. So I wish everybody a good week. Don't forget we're starting 9:30 Shachris this week, but we're going to have a Shia first at 9:10 in the laws of Shabbat.
Really appropriate.
Very appropriate, I think, yes. Okay, wait, let me end the recordings.